Kody thought the wives would never leave, but now the shocking truth about the money, property, and secret control is finally exploding. And trust me, what happens next could destroy the entire Brown family forever. So hit subscribe right now because you do not want to miss the next jaw-dropping update on this family drama. The Brown family has always presented itself as a complicated but united household where love, loyalty, and sacrifice were supposed to keep everyone together, no matter how difficult things became. But behind the scenes, a much darker and more emotionally exhausting reality was quietly unfolding for years. And now, as more details continue to emerge, viewers are beginning to realize that the real story may have never been about love at all, but about control, power, and financial dependence. Because even after the emotional separations, the legal and financial connections between Kody Brown, Meri Brown, and Janelle Brown still remain painfully active, creating a situation that feels impossible to escape. And fans are completely shocked that after all this time, the family still appears trapped in a cycle of unresolved tension, emotional distance, and unanswered questions. What once looked like a peaceful split has now transformed into a dramatic and suspenseful mystery, where nobody truly understands why the property has not been divided, why the businesses still remain active, and why the emotional ties continue holding everyone together long after the relationships themselves seem to have ended. The deeper fans look into the story, the more disturbing the entire situation begins to feel, because every decision surrounding the land ownership, the businesses, and the financial arrangements appears carefully structured in a way that always benefited Kody the most. And now, many viewers are starting to believe that this was never accidental, but instead part of a larger system designed to make it nearly impossible for the women to fully walk away without losing everything they helped build over decades. The shocking truth is that while Christine eventually found a way to separate herself from the family property by giving up her claim and moving forward, both Meri and Janelle remain financially connected, not only to Kody, but also to each other. And that emotional tension alone is enough to create endless conflict, because longtime viewers know that Meri and Janelle struggled with communication. Behind closed doors, the center of the drama remains Coyote Pass, the large piece of land that once symbolized hope, unity, and a fresh future for the family, but now stands completely untouched, like a silent monument to broken promises, shattered dreams, and emotional collapse. When the family first moved to Flagstaff, the vision sounded ambitious and exciting, with plans for multiple homes, shared spaces, and a peaceful future where the entire family could remain close. But years later, none of those dreams became reality. And instead, the property has turned into one of the biggest mysteries surrounding the family. Because despite being fully paid off, there have been no major developments, no construction, no clear plans, and no legal action to divide or sell the land, leaving fans stunned that such a massive issue continues sitting unresolved while everyone slowly builds separate lives in different states. The longer the property remains untouched, the more people begin wondering whether the delays are intentional, because every month that passes seems to benefit Kody and Robin, while keeping Meri and Janelle emotionally and financially connected to a system they supposedly left behind. And perhaps the most dramatic part of the entire story is the growing belief among viewers that the ownership structure itself may have been designed in a way that made leaving emotionally and financially exhausting. Because instead of allowing each wife to own property independently, Kody placed himself on every parcel while connecting different wives together on ownership agreements that forced them into future cooperation, even if their relationships were already strained. Christine was connected with Robin despite years of emotional tension, while Meri and Janelle were connected together despite their long, complicated history. And now fans are starting to believe that these arrangements were never random, because they created situations where leaving the family would automatically lead to complicated negotiations, emotional conflict, and legal uncertainty.
making it much harder for anyone to walk away cleanly without either giving up their share or entering a stressful battle over property and finances. Christine shocked viewers when she chose to walk away from her share entirely, choosing freedom and peace over a prolonged fight. But Meri and Janelle now appear trapped in a situation where neither one knows how to move forward without reopening years of emotional wounds and unresolved resentment.
Because despite the emotional separations, several shared companies reportedly remain active, which has left viewers deeply confused. Because most people expected the businesses to dissolve once the relationships ended, yet somehow these financial structures continue existing, as if the family itself never completely separated. The fact that some of these businesses still include multiple former wives alongside Kody has sparked endless speculation online, because fans cannot understand why anyone would remain financially connected after such painful public separations, unless there were unresolved legal, emotional, or financial reasons keeping them tied together. Some viewers believe the shared businesses are simply forgotten paperwork, while others suspect they represent something much more significant, possibly proof that the separations themselves are not as complete as they appear on television and social media. The uncertainty surrounding these business connections only adds more drama to the story, because every unanswered question keeps audiences searching for hidden motives, emotional attachments, and future conflict. And then there is the situation involving Meri, which continues to raise eyebrows among longtime fans, because despite publicly discussing her independence and new beginnings, certain business records reportedly still connect her to Arizona through addresses linked to the same area where Kody and Robin remain based. And that detail alone has created massive speculation among viewers, who now wonder whether part of Meri still remains emotionally tied to the life she supposedly left behind. Some believe it could simply be for convenience, while others suspect the emotional separation may not be fully complete, and that possibility has only intensified public curiosity. Because throughout the family history, Meri often appeared emotionally attached long after relationships became distant and painful, making fans question whether she has truly closed the door on the past, or whether unresolved emotions continue keeping her connected in ways that are not fully visible to the public. The emotional complexity of the situation becomes even more heartbreaking when you realize that these women spent decades sacrificing their independence, finances, and emotional stability in the name of family unity, only to now find themselves struggling to fully separate from the very system they helped build and maintain for years. The process of untangling decades of shared property, businesses, and emotional dependence is not simple, and that reality makes the story feel painfully human beneath all the public drama. Because while audiences watch from the outside, these are real people trying to...
As the tension inside the Brown family continues growing, fans are beginning to realize that the emotional separation between Kody, Meri, and Janelle may have only been the beginning of a much larger and more complicated story. Because while the public believed the marriages had ended and everyone was finally moving toward independent lives, the reality behind the scenes appears far more tangled, emotionally exhausting, and financially dangerous than anyone expected. The longer the unresolved issues surrounding Coyote Pass and the shared businesses continue, the more viewers become convinced that the family was never truly prepared for what would happen once the relationship started falling apart. Because everything about the structure of the family seems to have been built around staying together permanently. And now that several of the wives have emotionally walked away, the financial system they all helped create has become almost impossible to untangle without conflict, confusion, and emotional pain. What makes the situation even more dramatic is the growing belief among fans that Kody always understood exactly how dependent the family structure made the women, and that he may have quietly relied on that dependence for years. Because when you look at the ownership records, the business arrangements, and the emotional dynamics inside the family, it becomes increasingly difficult to ignore how much power remained concentrated around him, while the wives often carried emotional burdens, financial responsibilities, and sacrifices without truly holding equal control over the assets they helped build together. Viewers are now looking back at old episodes with completely different eyes, because moments that once seemed normal or harmless now appear filled with subtle signs of imbalance, manipulation, and emotional pressure, especially whenever conversations about money, property, or loyalty were involved.
One of the biggest shocks for audiences has been realizing just how vulnerable Janelle may actually be, despite always appearing practical, intelligent, and financially responsible. Because unlike some of the other wives, she reportedly does not own a separate home outside the shared property situation. And that reality has left many fans deeply concerned about how much she sacrificed financially during the marriage, while believing the family vision would eventually benefit everyone equally. Janelle spent years supporting the larger family system, often working and contributing financially while helping maintain stability inside a constantly shifting household. But now that the relationships have fractured, she appears stuck in a painful situation where much of her financial future may still depend on unresolved property agreements tied directly to Kody and the rest of the family. That realization has become one of the most emotional.
Because the family itself represented not just marriage, but identity, belonging, and purpose. And losing that entire structure may have been far more emotionally devastating than outsiders fully understand. The suspense surrounding Meri remains incredibly powerful because audiences sense there are still emotions and truths beneath the surface that have never been fully expressed publicly. Meanwhile, Kody and Robin continue living in Flagstaff, which only adds more tension to the story. Because while the others slowly create new lives elsewhere, they remain physically connected to the land and the financial center of the family system. That reality has caused many viewers to question whether the delays surrounding the property are partly motivated by the fact that maintaining the current arrangement benefits them the most. As long as the property remains unresolved, Kody and Robin continue holding a position of stability while the others remain emotionally and financially tied to unfinished business. Fans have also noticed that every year, the land itself potentially becomes more valuable, meaning there may be financial incentives to delay major decisions while property values continue increasing. And that possibility has only intensified public suspicion, because some viewers now wonder whether the unresolved situation is less about confusion and more about patient strategy and waiting for the most favorable outcome. The idea that years could pass without any meaningful resolution feels shocking to audiences. But at the same time, many people recognize that emotional exhaustion often causes complicated family disputes to drag on far longer than expected, especially when no one wants to face painful confrontations or expensive legal battles. The possibility of future legal action continues hanging over the family like a storm cloud, because while nothing major has happened publicly yet, fans increasingly believe that the situation may eventually reach a breaking point where court involvement becomes unavoidable. If that moment ever arrives, the consequences could completely change public understanding of the family, because legal disputes involving property, businesses, and shared finances often reveal details that remain hidden during normal reality television storytelling. Financial records, ownership structures, agreements, and years of contributions could suddenly become part of the public conversation. And that possibility is exactly why so many viewers remain intensely focused on every small update, because they sense that the biggest revelations may still be ahead. Some fans believe the women will eventually unite and force a sale of the property, while others think emotional fatigue may lead them to simply walk away rather than endure years of conflict. Whatever happens, the uncertainty itself has become one of the most addictive parts of the story, because nobody truly knows how this complicated emotional and financial battle will end. Another reason audiences remain so invested is because the Brown family story reflects larger conversations about independence, emotional control, and the hidden costs of staying inside unhealthy systems for too long. Many viewers, especially women, see parts of their own experiences reflected in the emotional struggles surrounding loyalty, sacrifice, and financial dependence. And that emotional connection makes the story feel far more personal than ordinary celebrity drama. The idea of spending decades building a life only to later realize how difficult it is to separate from shared finances, emotional expectations, and legal obligations resonates deeply with many people who understand how overwhelming major life transitions can become, especially after years spent prioritizing family unity above personal independence. The emotional weight of that reality is impossible to ignore,
Because beneath all the television attention and public speculation are real human beings trying to rebuild themselves after years inside a structure that no longer works. The longer fans watch, the more they realize that leaving emotionally is often much easier than leaving financially, legally, and psychologically. And that truth may be the most heartbreaking part of the entire situation. Even now, after multiple public separations, the invisible ties between these family members still remain, shaping decisions, creating tension, and preventing complete closure. Every interview, every social media post, and every public appearance now carries an undercurrent of suspense because audiences are constantly searching for clues about what might happen next. Will Meri finally completely disconnect from the remaining family businesses? Will Janelle eventually decide to take legal action over the property? Will Kody and Robin attempt to buy out the others? Or will the land continue sitting untouched for years while emotions quietly intensify behind the scenes? The absence of clear answers keeps the story alive because people naturally become fascinated by unresolved situations, especially when emotional history, financial pressure, and public attention collide in such dramatic ways. Fans also continue debating whether the family could have avoided this entire situation if the finances and ownership structures had been handled differently from the beginning, because many view